Total Screen proudly presents their official podcast, On Screen, with your hosts, Tyson Gifford and William Roerig. Hello, everybody, and welcome to On Screen, the official podcast of the Total Screen. My name is Tyson.
My name is Will.
And today we're going to be talking about the first half of Sandman Season 1. The whole season's out, but we're talking about the first half this week, and we're going to talk about the second half next week. We're also going to talk about Wave 2 of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC, 8 new tracks, and one update to a past track we'll mention too briefly. And then we got some stories, some news to go over. Largely, we have a lot to talk about with Splatoon 3, but a bunch of other stuff as well that we're going to go over pretty quickly. And that's going to be it for this week, so let's kick things off with our On Beat segment. On Beat. On Beat is, of course, our news segment, and we're going to kick things off with our favorite executive. David Zaslav has confirmed the Flash is still set for release.
Oh my god.
What do you think, like, before we even get into any details about this, or like, I guess there really isn't any more details to go into on it, but do you think this is just going to be like a colossal flop?
I think so.
Because, like, I was excited about the Flash movie. I have no interest in seeing it now.
Never excited for this movie. Just because, I don't know.
I was excited for one reason and one reason only. And that reason's name is Michael Keaton.
Yeah, it's Michael Keaton. We all love Michael Keaton. It's a shame that his return as Batman has been so utterly cursed. Like, I feel truly bad for Michael Keaton with all this. It feels like this is like they've dumped so much money into this that they're just going to put it out. I have no idea. Like, they said they had like a 10-year plan. They're going to rebuild DC and make better movies, and they're going to build out a universe and like follow Marvel's structure and everything. How do you do that with Ezra Miller as your lead? How the hell?
Basically like the last remaining like major figure and of the, I guess Jason Momoa too, but it's like
Jason Momoa and Gal Gadot are still around. But like, seriously, like, you're gonna have this movie, and according to the rumors, the plot of this movie, it ends with, like, a reboot of the DCEU, with Ezra Miller still the Flash. You're gonna make, like, a bunch of Flash movies with Ezra Miller. You're gonna have Ezra Miller and, like, all these other crossover films.
They're gonna send him some green construction paper to put in his cell, and then he's gonna record on his cell phone, and they're gonna insert him into scenes using VFX.
Right, them. They're gonna send them.
They're gonna send them to the screen by means of visual effects, because they'll be in prison.
Yeah, they'll be in prison. Yeah, it's just, I have no idea. I think we left out the critical thing. They've been arrested now for a burglary in Vermont.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, so they're just
and here's the insane part. Like, any Warner Brothers official statement has been all's good in Flashland. Like, we're excited for the movie. There's been no statement at all about this arrest or anything else Ezra Miller has done from this company.
Yeah, all the grooming controversy.
That's got to be troubling for anybody. It just tells that they do not care as long as they get this big tentpole movie out the door.
Hey, if there was ever a movie to write off as a disaster to get a tax write-off on, it wasn't Batgirl.
No.
It was The Flash.
Exactly.
Man,
it was this.
I don't think anybody wants to watch Ezra Miller right now.
And you know what? Since they're so hell-bent on putting this out, I hope it comes out. I hope it bombs spectacularly, and I hope it bites Warner Bros. On the ass.
At this point, just double down. Say like that they removed Michael Keaton as Batman and replaced him with Kevin Spacey. O.J. Simpson's playing Commissioner Gordon.
Oh, jeez.
Just go all in.
Yeah, just go all in.
The movie's now being the triumphant return of Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein's going to produce it. It's like, just go all in at this point. It's an unmitigated disaster. Yeah, I think this is going to be, I think he's expecting that this will be great. David Zaslav's like, well, there's controversy and stuff, but who cares? It's going to be a big movie, and I think it's not.
He's seen it. He's seen the dailies. It's fantastic. That's what he said.
Yeah, but I think that he has this perception that he can ignore the controversies and it'll do fine.
Yeah.
I think because of the controversies, this movie is going to be a colossal flop.
Right.
So I just don't think anybody's interested in this. So, who knows?
I hope it flops because Ezra Miller should not have a career in Hollywood.
Neither should David Zaslav.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about somebody who should have a career in Hollywood. Keanu Reeves is going to be making his American television debut in Devil in the White City. I mentioned to you before, I've seen a lot of reports saying this is his first TV show. And I'm like, no, it wasn't. He was on a Swedish TV show. But this is his first American TV show. He's going to be playing famed architect Daniel H. Burnham, and the series is called Devil in the White City. And I don't know the full details of how this works out. I guess maybe the architect was somehow involved with H.H. Holmes' murder house somehow. I don't know how that works out, or if that just is happening in the background of the story, or what's going on. But it's going to be taking place around the time of the 1893 Chicago World's Fair. And like I said, the building of Dr. H.H. Holmes' murder castle is going to be figured in there somewhere.
It's in the vicinity, from what I understand it, it's in the vicinity of the World's Fair. And I believe Holmes used it as an opportunity to attract victims.
Yeah, I mean, for those who don't know, Holmes is considered to be the first of the kind of modern American serial killers.
It's an incredibly fascinating story. I've read his story several times in the past.
Watched the episode of Supernatural about him.
Oh, yeah. Was that specifically about him?
Yeah, he was a ghost.
Oh, that's right.
They were like in his place. It had been returned into like a hotel or something, but he was a ghost.
I completely forgot about that. But really fascinating story. I'm looking forward to seeing this.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Next news story we have up. Cobra Kai Season 5. They released a bunch of pictures confirming the big rumor that we all knew was eventually going to happen, but it's going to happen this coming season. The return of Karate Kid 3 villain Mike Barnes.
Mike Barnes!
Those who don't know, in Karate Kid 3, they brought him in. He was like an action star. He was kind of like a Johnny Cage type that they had brought in to give Daniel somebody to fight. And Cobra Kai's like weird plan. They had to try to take him down. This absurd plan.
Yes. The whole thing was they introduced Mike Barnes as like this bully. He just randomly shows up and starts bullying Daniel. And they kind of brainwash him into thinking Miyagi-Do isn't good enough. He needs to learn Cobra Kai tactics or something. And the one guy there, what's his name for the last season?
Terry Silvers.
Terry Silvers, he helps chase Barnes off and defends Daniel from him and befriends Daniel. Gets Daniel to train with him at the Cobra Kai dojo, and that's all part of the plan to ruin Daniel because he and Mike Barnes turns out were in on it together.
It's so weird. It's like they mixed Karate Kid with Gaslight.
Yeah.
But the character will be returning as weird and kind of a bit garbagey as Karate Kid 3 is. It's always cool the way they can bring it all back into the lore of Cobra Kai,
Yeah, they're really good at that. And Cobra Kai, as they tease at the end, season 5 also, brings back Chosen from Karate Kid 2.
Yeah, he's been in it. He was in the last season as well, but, we're kind of bringing him back in as, a major character.
As a major, not just an appearance, he's gonna be a major part of this season.
Now they just need to bring in Hilary Swank and Jackie Chan.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, jeez, yeah, Jackie Chan.
All right. Our next news story. Peacock has hired the writers of the new or the directors, I should say. They're the writers and directors, but as a writing capacity here, of the new Dungeons and Dragons movie. What's it? Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, I believe. Is that what that's called?
You nailed it.
But Peacock has hired them for a coming-of-age series, a thriller called Hysteria that takes place during the Satanic Panic. And it's going to have these directors are going to be involved as producers and directors on the show, alongside new showrunner Matthew Scott Kane, who's worked on several projects throughout the years. But this will be his first time running a show. It's about It's a small town. There's a missing high school quarterback who's like this beloved figure. There's a heavy metal band that's trying to use all the Satanic Panic stuff as a way to promote themselves. And then there's some trappings of possibly supernatural stuff actually coming into effect. So as you said before recording, this is very reminiscent sounding of Stranger Things season 4, which also traded on the Satanic Panic, in particular with the character of Eddie Munson, who was straight up based on one of the West Memphis 3, who was a teenager who was locked up as part of the Satanic Panic.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I'm excited about this. There, we've already seen a hint of this kind of story in Stranger Things 4, but I think it's a really fascinating period of like American fuckery. So I'm always up to see more kind of adaptations of it. Plus, any show that prominently features a heavy metal band, I'm all about.
Yeah.
Next up, Hulu's Predator prequel Prey is now their biggest premiere ever, film or show.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I gotta admit, I didn't, have, high expectations for Prey, but that was mostly based on, the last couple Predator movies being subpar and the Predators versus Alien movies not being that great. So yeah, I didn't have high expectations for it, but apparently the reviews have been very good. I haven't watched this yet. I actually don't have Hulu at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But the reviews have been good. So yeah, I'm excited to see it now, more so than I was before. And you know what? Good for this show.
Good to see Predator finally get another good movie.
The actress who stars in this, Amber Midthunder, she was in Noah Hawley's
Legion.
That's it. Yeah, I was like, saw it tip my tongue. She was in Legion. She was great in that show.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only thing I've seen her in.
Yeah,
she was fantastic on that. So,
like you, I have not seen this movie. I'm excited to see it. It's really cool that Predator's been Predator and Alien were always compared. They had the crossover comics and the crossover movies they made, but really it was like Alien kind of had the more successful franchise. Predator kind of had the one film and then some other stuff that people mostly ignore. So it's exciting to see Predator actually get another movie that works.
It's kind of yeah, exactly. Cause I was excited for this, cause you always get excited about these things, and they let you down. I remember with the Alien stuff, they're still struggling with that. And they had Ridley Scott's coming back to Alien. That's gonna be awesome. And
with Prometheus, and what was the second one called after that? That was,
I completely forget, but it was not awesome. So, it's hard to get excited about these things after a while because they're always letting you down, but apparently this one knocks it out of the park, so.
Yeah, it's good news, and I'm looking forward to actually watching this. So, the first really good Predator movie since the first one, I guess. That's what I've been hearing.
Nice.
Our next news story, Tactics Ogre Reborn has been announced for PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, PC, and Switch this coming November 11th, and it is the return of the dreaded Square Enix smoothing filter.
No! Why? Damn you, why?
Your Square Enix, just make it HD 2D.
Exactly. I have no idea. Do people actually like the smoothing filter? I know, emulators and stuff, they add, smoothing filters. I've never used it because it always looks ugly as sin to me.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, if you're gonna do something that ruins it that much, just redraw the pixels at that point,
Right. Smoothing filter just looks like they smeared Vaseline all over the pixels.
I mean, I think it looks fine on, backgrounds usually and stuff, or, tiles, but not on character sprites. On character sprites, it looks abysmal.
Right, yeah.
So, I mean, you'd think they would just redo the pixels for the character sprites, It's just such a controversial thing that's so unnecessary, and I just don't get it. But anyways, I mean, I've always meant to play Tactics Ogre, so I might get it just for that. Hopefully there's some kind of a CRT mode that adds the scan lines back in so that it looks better, or some way of turning off the smoothing filter.
I hope there's a way to turn it off. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then the most exciting piece of news this week, they had another Nintendo Direct. Unfortunately, it was specific to one game. Fortunately, that's a game I'm actually looking forward to. So they did a Splatoon 3 Direct. It was about a half hour. It started out kind of slow. They were basically just recapping all the shit we already know about Splatoon that's been the same since the first game. They're still going to be doing that slow rollout where you get very little content when the game comes out, and then it's going to keep releasing new stages here and there, every couple months or something. When they're still doing the rotation of stages, which means every day there's going to be 2 stages that it rotates between, which is, I don't get why they're still doing that. I mean, I get what they're trying to do by doing that, but at this point, like on the third entry, it's kind of unnecessary. Like they're trying to do it to try to force you to learn how to play to the specific styles of each stage, you know? But this is the third entry in the series. At this point, you don't need to do that anymore, and people want more variety.
Right, yeah, exactly.
You're going to sit down and play Splatoon for like a couple hours. That means you're going to be playing 2 stages over and over and over again for 2 hours. That's kind of ridiculous, but...
Yeah, that is ridiculous.
That's the bad news. Some other things that are kind of came out of this story. Splatfest is back. This time it's going to be in like 2 parts. So initially it's going to be like a traditional Splatfest where everybody's picked their sides and you do like one team versus another team in a turf war battle to try to build up points for each choice that's made, basically. They always do Splatfest like, you know, what's your favorite condiment, ketchup or mayo or something like that. And so it's going to be the same in that way. But because this time they're doing it with 3 choices instead of 2, so you're going to have a bunch of these battles where it's one team versus another. But then after a certain point, it's going to take like the higher ranking people from those past battles, and it's going to do a Team v Team v Team. How would you describe that? It's not 3v because it's not individuals, it's teams, but
yeah,
anyway.
It's like 3 versus 3 teams.
Yeah,
which is a neat concept. That should be fun. That should make things a bit more hectic. That sounds fun to me.
Yeah, and just picking 3 teams is interesting too. I like that. It's an interesting wrinkle to the Splatfest dynamic. The name of the game here seems to be customization. There's tons of customization options now. You can change your nameplate for like whenever it shows who's joining a battle, instead of just like a generic, like, you know, tile that has your name on it. Now you're going to be able to kind of customize your own. You even be able to add a title as well as your name. You're going to be able to like customize like a locker that you can keep stuff in. You can, you know, decorate things up with a bunch of stickers, and they're just doing a lot for customization to kind of, so you can kind of make more of an identity for yourself within the game, which is cool. They always had cool clothing options and stuff, but this is like a step up from that. So that's nice. The lobby seems to be greatly improved. It used to be like in the first Splatoon game, they had like this weird 8-bit kind of mini game you could play like while you were waiting for the game to load. Like you basically play the game on the Wii U screen as like the lobby was on the top screen showing what was going on with people joining the game and stuff. But in the second game, you basically just sat there and waited for for the lobby to fill up or for your game to fill up before you could play. Now it looks like you can like practice while the lobby's filling up. So while you're waiting for other players to join, you could literally run around and, you know, practice with different weapons and stuff and just try different things. That's really cool. They're adding in some more options there of things you can do in the lobby, which is really exciting. They added some maneuverability options when you're in your squid form. So basically, like in Splatoon, when you're in a squid form, you're swimming through the ink and you're recharging your ink, and you can kind of move very quickly, and you can also kind of hide from your enemies that way. And then when you're in your kid form, that's when you like shooting and attacking and stuff. So they're adding in some new maneuverability options to make the squid form more useful, to try to encourage people to use it more, I guess. But like including being able to jump out of the ink and spin in a way that deflects ink attacks that are coming in at you, which is cool. It's a nice option.
Yeah, that's a neat option.
They added some new special weapons. So like in the Splatoon games, you pick a main weapon and your main weapon has a sub-weapon and a special weapon equipped to it. They added in some new special weapons. The one that is really noticeable is a vending machine. So you basically, you drop this like vending machine and it just stays on the stage at a certain point, and your fellow party members can run by it and collect an energy drink that boosts their stats.
Oh, that's
so not only do you boost your stats when you do it, but then like your teammates can run through it and boost their stats too.
That's awesome.
That's cool. It's cute. It's like a little different. They added in 2 new main weapon types, and there's like a bow now. It's like a bow and arrow type ink device, and something called the Splatana, which, you know, as you'd guess would be like a katana that you can swing around that shoots ink. One of the main things about Splatoon 2 that people really loved is there was a mode called Salmon Run that was like a horde mode, and now Salmon Run is going to be available all the time. It used to be only like occasionally, so you'd go like a couple days without seeing it around, and then you'd log on one day, it's like, oh, Salmon Run's going on, and you'd jump jump in and play Salmon Run. Well, now that's going to be available all the time, and they've added in some like special variants to that mode now too, like where the salmonids might be like attacking the main city. So you're playing like on your main city instead of on the regular Salmon Run maps, or like where this Godzilla-like salmon creature like comes and attacks at the very end of your Salmon Run match or something. So it's like they added like a few little twists to make that more interesting.
Yeah, which is cool. Like, I like that.
Yeah, they announced that there's going to be 2 years of free post-launch updates. That's pretty normal for Splatoon. That's about what normally happens. But, that kind of gives us an idea about where Nintendo's plans are for the next generation, just like their other DLC plans have. Everything seems to be kind of leaning towards through to 2023, They also said that there was going to be some major paid DLC, whereas like there was no paid DLC for the first game, and the second game had a paid DLC, but it was only a single player mode. So this seems to be like it's going to be more comprehensive DLC that's paid, and multiple of it, not just like one. There's going to be a new card game called Table Turf Battle. That's going to be like a collectible card game within the game. I think that's cool. That's going to be like a fun little diversion. Sometimes I might be like really into Splatoon, but I might not want to be really playing the Twitch heavy, fast-paced action for a bit. I might want to take a little bit of break, but still want to be kind of in that world, and this gives an option for that.
Right, yeah.
I forgot to put on the show notes here, but the other thing is they're going to be doing something kind of like they used to do the test fires, where they would release like a demo before the game came out to do like network tests and stuff. They're going to be doing that with a Splatfest on August 28th, I believe. So keep your eye out on that. You'll be able to download a demo and play a Splatfest. And so that is the details for Splatoon 3. I think it looks good. I still am of the opinion that there isn't even that much of a difference between Splatoon 1 and 2. And the reason to pick up Splatoon 2 was that it was on Switch. So like Splatoon 1 was on Wii U, you played it for a while. Splatoon 3 isn't too terribly different, but it's on the new hardware, so you get that. I still don't know if it was such a great idea to make Splatoon 3 also on Switch. Like, it almost feels like it should be like a launch window or close to launch
for the next
like
system.
The successor, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a Mario Kart game. Like, you don't really want 2 Mario Kart games on the same system. You only need the one, really, and you just want to get more stuff on it. Give us more updates. So I wish they had just given us more updates through like, DLC or something for Splatoon 2.
Yeah, that's what I think too. But it's fine. Everything about this, like, it sounds good. I had fun with Splatoon 2, so I'm going to have fun with this.
Yeah, definitely. The main thing is going to be if it gets people playing Splatoon again with a new Splatoon game, then that's cool. Because right now it's only like the real pro level players, and I don't want to.
Right, exactly. It's going to reset the player pool too, so that'll be good.
Yeah. So that's it for our On Beat segment. Now we're going to move on to On Tap.
What we've been watching. What we've been playing. What's on tap.
On Tap is where we talk about, stuff that we've been playing, but not in full spoilers, really, just kind of going over kind of things that we've watched or played recently. And this week we're going to be talking about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the Booster Course Pass, Wave 2. So we're going to go over each track and give kind of our quick impressions of it. We had 8 new tracks total and 2 cups. So starting with the Turnip Cup, New York Minute. What are your thoughts on New York Minute from Mario Kart Tour?
It's fine. It looked neat. I don't know. It looked kind of like New Dog City. I like the touch, like they had like the Mario characters, like Yoshi and stuff, like sitting on benches on like the side of the track. I thought that was cute. I
think this is probably the most boring stage in the entire franchise.
You see how much I'm struggling to like find something to say.
Yeah, it's so boring. The graphics are so bland and simplistic.
Yeah.
Oh, this is just like, oh man. I'm gonna give like a little warning here. Most of the tracks in this wave were kind of disappointing to me.
Yeah, they're kind of like this there.
There are a few exceptions, but they're few. Most of them I wasn't too into. New York Minute, wasn't too into. I mean, I guess like just track wise, like ignoring all the visual details and stuff, it's okay. The next track in the Turnip Cup is Mario Circuit 3 from the very first Mario Kart game, Super Mario Kart.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say, but I've played this specific track so many times now because it's been in so many Mario Kart games. Like, played it in the original Mario Kart. It's a track I've played 100 times. When the music played, it's like, yes, of course, it's this music track. If you've played Mario Circuit, like, this is Mario Circuit. It's not too different, yeah.
Yeah, I feel about the same. I mean, it looks cool in like that, redone 2D track design type way, but that's about it. Wasn't too excited. Next up for this cup is Calamari Desert from Mario Kart 64.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fine.
Again, not too into this one. Not a huge fan of it. There was another was it the Choco Mountain one from the last wave? Was a lot better than this.
Yeah, I like Choco Mountain better. Calamari Desert, like, I guess a desert stage. Those don't stand out too much for me in Mario Kart games, but it's fine.
Yeah.
But the showpiece of this cup was definitely Waluigi Pinball. This is
the showpiece of the whole wave, I think.
Yeah. I mean, there's another track in the wave that's supposed to be a showpiece as well. Waluigi Pinball is definitely my favorite course of the wave.
I agree.
Just because, it's from Mario Kart DS. It was my favorite track from Mario Kart DS, and this version of the track doesn't lose any of the charm of the original version.
Yeah, this track is a blast.
Yeah, yes, it is.
Yeah. Like, I was so disappointed after the first, I went through to play these, and I was playing them all in order, and got through Calamari Desert, and I'm just like, oh, this wave sucks. And then I got to Waluigi Pinball, and I was like, oh, okay. At least we're ending this cup strong. This is good. This is really good. I think this might be the best DLC track so far. Period. With Last Wave, too.
So here's what I think. Taking the last wave into account in this wave, I'm thinking what the waves typically are they're a collection of smaller tracks ending with one showpiece track. So, the showpiece for Turnip Cup is Waluigi Pinball. Then you get to the Propeller Cup. It's the same deal, but then they got, a brand new track that's not from any previous game, Sky High Sunday, that's more complex than the other tracks in the cup. So that's clearly the showpiece track from the Propeller Cup.
Yeah, the last track seems to be that. I mean, the very last track of the first wave was the Ninja Hideout,
Right,
which was the best track from that wave. So
they seem to be, doing that. Just, these DLC seems to be cups filled with smaller scale tracks bookended by one full-fledged showpiece track.
Yeah. So that brings us to the Propeller Cup, the second cup in this wave. Sydney Sprint, another Mario Kart Tour one. I like this a lot better than New York Minute.
Yeah.
But I think it's not as good as the last two city tracks from Wave 1.
From Wave 1.
Wave 1 had, what was it, Tokyo, and the other
Paris.
one was it, where was the other track?
I think it was based on Paris.
It was Paris and Tokyo. And both of those were a lot better than New York Minute or Sydney Sprint. But Sydney Sprint is a lot better than New York Minute. It's actually got a few little interesting quirks. The little ramps on the bridge is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, definitely.
After Sydney Sprint, though, comes my absolute least favorite track of any Mario Kart track I think I've ever played.
Oh, really?
I hate Snowland.
Wow, what'd Snowland do to you?
You know what it did to me? It takes fucking 10 minutes to get up to speed on that damn track. Because there's no tire traction because of the ice. So you just you get hit once and it's okay, now it's gonna take me 10 minutes to fucking get back up to a reasonable speed. It's just slow. It's the most annoying feeling track because you're always moving so slow on that track. I hate it. I hate it so much.
I disagree. I enjoyed it, but I like the snow tracks in Mario Kart games. I loved the winter themes. I didn't have
the other
any
ones
issues.
never bothered me. The other one, there's 3 other snow tracks in Mario Kart 8. None of them bothered me.
Right.
This one just it annoys me.
This one.
Yeah, this one just annoys me so much. It's just so slow. It just feels like I'm moving like molasses the whole time I'm playing that stage. I don't know what it is. I hate it.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. And it is a pretty simple track. Again, it's not the most complex track they ever made for a Mario Kart game. So
this is from Mario Kart Super Circuit, by the way. We didn't
the GBA game. Yeah. So This is a 3D remake of a GBA course. I mean, I thought it was fine, but yeah.
I just think I guess the Mario Kart physics don't really work that well for me on it. I think that's it. More than the shape of the track or anything. It's just the way the physics are working on it. Just don't vibe with me. Mushroom Gorge. This is pretty fun. There's some fun bits to the track.
Yeah.
This is from Mario Kart Wii.
Right, which I'd never played, so it's like my first time playing Mushroom Gorge,
Same
actually.
Here. Never played Mario Kart Wii.
Right, and you know what? I mean, again, it was another thing I thought was fine. I like the bouncing mushrooms. I thought the bouncing mushrooms.
And you hit the blue one and your parasail comes out. I like that.
Yeah. It's funny though, because like this was the one, like I had like the hardest time keeping my cart on the track because I would bounce off the mushroom and just fall into the pit or something. And it was
I did that definitely on like the first time I did it. It was like a disaster for me. And then a couple times after that, now I've got the hang of it. And unless I'm getting hit by somebody else and knocked off the side,
that
usually doing okay.
Several times. That was annoying. Yes.
Yeah, this track can get annoying, but depending on how aggressive the people or, NPC, or not NPCs. Yeah, I guess NPCs. The people or the bots you're playing against.
Yeah.
can make this track really annoying. But like, in general, I thought it had a few little fun bits. It's kind of like Sydney Sprint in that way. Like Sydney Sprint, not a great track, but it has a few little parts in it that are pretty fun,
Right.
And as long as you're hitting those beats.
Yeah, I think this is overall one of the better tracks on the DLC.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd say this is like probably my third favorite in this wave. And on to my second favorite, because I already said what my favorite was.
Yeah.
My second favorite is a new track. And what's cool here is that this is the first of these DLC tracks from both waves that uses anti-grav.
Right. And this is also the first one from both waves that's genuinely new to Mario Kart 8, created specifically for this game and does not come from a previous game or Mario Kart Tour.
Yes, definitely. And like I said, it's anti-grav the whole track. Anti-grav is really fun in Mario Kart 8.
Anti-grav
part's like the best parts of the tracks.
One of the big innovations introduced in Mario Kart 8.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the showcase because it's got the anti-grav, it's got the hang glider. I actually messed up when I started this because the first thing you hang glide into this ice cream cone and there's a small opening.
Yeah.
And then you got aim for. Like, I completely missed that and fell off the side. It was embarrassing. But I like how it starts you off in a diner. Like, you got Yoshi and stuff. Like, that's cool. I like the design. There's one part where the platforms are vanilla wafers.
Yeah, there's all sorts of like cool little details.
It's like a very detailed, like, to me this is like a very well-designed stage. I really enjoyed racing on it.
Give us more anti-grav stages in these.
I wish they do more of these with the DLC.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I understand if they don't have time to work on a whole bunch of brand new tracks and stuff, but just give us some anti-grav parts here and there. Do some, like, little touches that make them more fun, because anti-grav is so fun. Especially the way you speed up when you bump into things. It's really cool. So yeah, that was my second favorite. So overall, this wave 2, I'd say I was mostly disappointed. I'd say there was 3 tracks that I really liked and one that I thought was okay. And then
most
the rest
were
kind of meh.
Were not really worth writing home about.
Yeah, exactly. I think wave 1 was definitely better than wave 2.
I agree.
And Wave 1 wasn't as good as the original DLC from the Wii U game that was included in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Those tracks were way better. So, up your game a bit, Nintendo. You did a few good ones in here, but you need to up your game on these. Hopefully this just means that your efforts towards 9 on the Switch successor.
Right.
One other thing I want to add in real quick, as we're finishing up our Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course talk, is that they updated Coconut Mall from Wave 1.
Oh, really?
So in Coconut Mall, you know how you drive by those like sports cars with Shy Guys in them?
Yeah.
And they're just stationary? Well, that was, I guess, like a glitch. That wasn't like they weren't supposed to be stationary.
I see. Okay. So they moved now.
Those cars, they don't they're not driving, but they'll spin out and wipe you out as you go by them and stuff. And they added that back in. Like, it wasn't working. It did feel kind of weird when you drive by them. It's like, why are they just sitting there, And then now it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that was some kind of an error and they fixed it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
So there's an extra hazard in there now. Some homicidal Shy Guys in sports cars now. But that's it for our Untapped segment. We're going to move on now to On the Horizon. for this week's On the Horizon, Tales of the Walking Dead returns on Sunday, August 14th on AMC. Or not returns, this is a new series. It's a spin-off. It's an anthology. Each episode's a separate story that takes place in the Walking Dead universe. So I'm not really into Walking Dead much anymore. I don't watch it anymore, but for those who do, this is a little cool thing to watch, I guess. More exciting for me, on Thursday, August 18th, She-Hulk Attorney at Law comes to Disney+.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for that.
Oh yeah, definitely. We're going to be talking about this on the show for sure. So that's coming up. And then also on Thursday, August 18th, for the PS4 and Switch, RPG Time, The Legend of Wright is coming out. This was shown at the last Partner Direct, I believe, that Nintendo did. This is that RPG game that all takes place like in a scrapbook. It's like a kid's like notebook or something, and everything's like based on around like the stuff in the notebook, like, you know, little paper clips and things that are used to like progress the story, I guess. It's just really cool looking. It's a really like artistic little game, and so I'm a little bit excited about that, but I don't know if I have time for it. There's so many games right now.
Right,
I'm just over 70 hours into Xenoblade Chronicles 3 right now, so and I got a lot more to go. But that brings us to our final segment, full spoilers. This week on Full Spoilers, we're going to be talking about Sandman Season 1, Episodes 1 through 5. The whole season is out, but we're talking about the first half this week and the second half next week. So what are your general thoughts about Sandman now that you've watched the first 5 episodes?
It's good. It's very good. They did an excellent job adapting the material for live action, which is like, that's one of the things like concerned, especially with something like Sandman. I never read the whole thing. I read like a couple of the graphic novels back in the day, and the whole thing reads like, it's very surreal reading it, right? It's like, it's almost like a dream, which I guess is the intention, right? The whole thing is like so very surreal. There's like a lot of like high concepts. So for a long time, people were like, well, how are you going to adapt that to live action? And I think they've done a wonderful job with this.
Yeah. I've heard some complaints that they toned down some of the horror elements and stuff. And like, I'm not too experienced with the graphic. My only real experience with Sandman before this is honestly that I'm a big fan of Amano, who is the character designer for like the early Final Fantasy games.
Yeah.
And he's just an artist in Japan. He does like some crazy looking stuff. He also did like Vampire Hunter D. He was like the designer for that stuff. But he did one of the Sandman comics, or one of the graphic novels that came out. I think it was a spin-off of Sandman or something.
I think, yeah.
And that's about my only experience with Sandman, is that a friend of mine got that graphic novel, and I flipped through it. I didn't read it. I just kind of flipped through it and was looking at all the pretty pictures. And so that's where my experience of Sandman comes and goes. Obviously, this feels right at home to me because I am a bit more experienced with other properties based on projects by Neil Gaiman. Of course, like American Gods and stuff like that. So you get like a lot of that same kind of like reverence to mythology kind of stuff going on here.
Yes.
That is like similar in that way. So I dig that. I really dig a lot of the style of this. I think it looks great. I think the actors in it are great. I mean, in particular, the two that I'm really going to call out here are Dream / Morpheus himself. They found somebody completely excellent to play that character.
Yeah,
and
Tom
the
Sturridge does a fantastic job with that character.
And the other one is John Dee, who is played by David Thewlis in this. He was Professor Lupin in the Harry Potter movies. He is utterly fantastic and terrifying in this like very polite and like casual kind of way.
Oh yeah.
I heard people talking about not liking the diner episode, which was the 5th episode.
Oh
like
my
that
God.
They said
How
it wasn't
could you
horror
not?
enough.
Oh, so that's the one that they were saying was not horror enough? I don't know. I thought that still hit pretty hard.
Well, see, the thing is, like, by the end, you started getting horror stuff, and it was apparently toned down from what happened in the graphic novel. But forget all of that. The tension in that episode before anything truly bad started happening was immense. Like, you could feel the weight of the tension in that episode.
Yes.
Like, oh my God.
So what I love about episode 5 is, like, okay, yeah, you didn't get the hard horror elements till the end of the episode, but like the build up to that and the tension and the seeing like the slow burn running through the entire episode while David Thewlis just sits there casually like he's making it all play out, but the way he just sits there and watches it, it's like, oh my God, it hits so much harder than if like everybody just went crazy from the jump,
Yeah. David Thewlis is a treasure.
Yes.
He is a phenomenal actor, and everything I've seen him in, he's been great.
That scene towards the end of the episode where he's just sitting there at the counter eating this big thing of ice cream, and the waitress like confronts him, and she's saying like, you're doing this, like that is just an excellent scene.
Mm-hmm. Every shot with him in it is exceptional. Yeah. We talked before we started recording the podcast, we had a news story that we were going to mention that related to the next season of Fargo, and we decided to cut it. But you said that you hadn't watched Fargo in a while. He was in one of the seasons of Fargo. He was like the antagonist in it, nice. And he was fantastic. So
he's great in this just because like his character it's very simple character, right? Like he is a guy who his mother, she spent her life lying to him ostensibly to protect him because, of what she did and what she stole. She stole these items from like a supernatural being. Mm-hmm. I don't think you could call the Endless gods per se, but they
made a big deal on all the promotional stuff to say that they're not gods, and one of the key differences is that like gods can fade away if people don't believe, but the Endless are always there, kind of thing.
Yeah, the Endless are always. But like she stole these items from a supernatural being. So she's been on the run ever since. He's mentioned that they've moved many times. But he resents her for lying to him. And he's kind of like gotten this obsession with lies in his head. And now with like the Ruby, like he wants to rid, in his mind, he wants to rid the world of lies. And that includes like the lies people tell themselves or like the fronts they put up just to like maintain polite society, I guess.
But what Dream points out at the end is that he's not really getting rid of lies, he's getting rid of dreams.
Yes.
Because that's what it does, because it's a tool of dream. Yeah. And by getting rid of dreams and or hope, which is another key point that comes in a different episode here.
When he has the people of the diner basically like having sex and killing each other and, harming themselves and stuff, he says, oh, this is the real them. I've stripped away all the lies, see as they are. And Dream's like, no, you just took their dreams away. Mm-hmm. Like this is them without dreams.
Yeah. And it's such an important part that makes it make sense, because at first it's kind of like, this is kind of ridiculous. This isn't what would happen if you just had your lies taken away. But when Dream talks about what actually happened, that it wasn't just lies, it was dreams, it was hope, then you start to kind of get the tone of what was happening and the just despair that everybody was in and the hopelessness and stuff and the way that felt, it's like then it kind of clicks a lot harder. I really dug that. It's kind of like the Ruby in this case almost came across kind of Darkholdy.
Yeah.
in a way, just like the way it just corrupted
says,
him.
Like to him, like, yeah, like the Ruby's hurting you.
Yeah, this was not meant for humans.
Yeah.
They did that in a previous episode we can talk about with Joanna Constantine.
It's Constantine.
Constantine and
like Valentine.
And her lover that she had left had become addicted to Dream's sands, another one of his tools, and it was just destroying her.
Yeah. That was another great episode. Because Dream's there to get his sand. Joanna Constantine, like, she's trying to do her thing, and she doesn't trust Dream that much.
She doesn't trust anyone because she's just self-loathing.
Yeah.
She doesn't trust herself, and if she can't trust herself, then she doesn't trust anyone,
Right, yeah.
God, there's so many good episodes. I mean, we can't just break down every episode and everything that happened.
No, the episode, like, in hell with Lucifer, played
that battle. That battle was so cool.
Gwendolyn Christie, like, turning in a fantastic performance. That battle was amazing.
Yeah. It's just a cool concept for a battle to be like this kind of game of wits. Yeah, where they take on a role that takes out their last form and then progressively go through different stages, like Lucifer starts it with, I am a wolf, sleek, powerful, it's like...
Yeah. Dream's like, I'm a hunter,
Yeah. I am a serpent.
And they inflict, like, real damage on each other from those forms.
Yeah.
Like, it gets to the point where Lucifer's like, I'm anti-life, and it's like, beat that. And you think he's done, but then he comes back with hope. Mm-hmm. And Lucifer realizes nothing can beat hope.
That seems to be a key theme of this series, doesn't it?
Yeah.
As we talked about dreams and hope being a big part of of the 5th episode as well, you know?
Yes. And the 5th episode, I love, like, the end when John thinks he's destroyed Dream. The ruby shatters, and he thinks he's killed Dream, and then he finds out, like, no, Dream's alive, and he's more powerful than ever because the ruby's been shattered, and all his power he imbued in it has been returned to him.
What Lucifer said was kind of true, in that she had said to him in that one episode that, you know, tools are like a subtle, like,
a trap.
You know, a subtle trap, yeah. That, like, you become reliant on them and stuff, and by destroying that, you know, he's released all this power of his that had become a part of that ruby. And now that it's released, he's just, you know, massive. He's holding John D in his hand, literally.
And he puts John D back into the institution he escaped from in Buffalo.
Yeah, I like the idea that, you know, he said, "Are you going to kill me?" And he's like, "I could." And then he's like, "But, you know, this wasn't your fault. This is a tool that wasn't meant for humans, and this was thrust upon you, and the influence it had on you and the way you used it can't be entirely blamed on you, you know?" I really dug that, kind of like that sense of compassion. It's kind of like it's like a cold and almost detached form of compassion. That's unique. It's a little different than what you'd normally see.
Yeah. Dream doesn't have, like, human emotions, you know, like, or it doesn't seem to be. He seems to be, for the most part, he seems to be, cold and detached. Right?
But he still does have emotion.
Still does have emotion.
It's not human emotion. It's different, you know?
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, exactly.
Like, he seems to have, like, a sense of responsibility, but it's not like human responsibility. It's a little different. He doesn't have a sense of desperation to him that, like, a human might have in a hard situation. It's just very different.
Yes. Yeah, it's very different. Okay, for me, I think, the weakest episode's probably the first episode. Not because it's bad, but because it just kind of, like, introduces us.
It's a bit slow. It's all set up.
It's a bit slow with the setup and to get going. But it's fine. I didn't actually hate any episode so far of this.
Mm-hmm.
What are your overall thoughts?
I like it. I like that it kind of feels like an anthology with these little different vignettes of his life.
Yes,
I like that, I like that it is that, but that it isn't that. That it is kind of linear. I think that might be a difference from what I've heard from the comic book, where it seems like the comic book is less linear.
I don't think it is so far, but my memory is spotty. But I do feel like the comic was also full of vignettes.
Yeah. What I mean though is that here all the vignettes are kind of like an order. They're kind of in a linear order.
Right,
and
yeah.
So that's like the way in which it doesn't feel like an anthology, because it is like a continuous path, kind of, you know? Whereas
true.
From what I've heard, the comics seem to be a bit less linear.
Yeah, the comics, they have vignettes and they're kind of like jumbled at different points.
But I think it works. Like, I'm watching this with my mom. I have, like, the vaguest knowledge of what Sandman is. She has no clue, never heard of it once in her life, you know, has absolutely no idea of what's going on. And she's enjoying it. And there's a few points where she's asking me some questions and stuff. And I don't really have that much information to give her, because, like I said, I've never read the comics. But just my vague awareness of basically what they're about, like, helps me in that regard, where she has nothing like that to draw upon. And even though she struggles at certain points because of that, she's still able to kind of follow what's going on, I think, because the vignettes are kind of in order.
Right,
I think if the vignettes were out of order, I think she'd be completely lost and wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, so I think that's probably the right thing to do, because it does make it easier for new people jumping into it. Like I said, reading the graphic novels, I only read like 2 or so of the graphic novels. They released several volumes of those, but I never got like all the volumes like I meant to. But like reading it, like it definitely felt like a dream. Like it's definitely got the impression it's set up to feel like a dream. And I believe that might be part of the reason the vignettes are like kind of jumbled in time.
Yeah,
to make it more dreamlike. But that's just me speculating. I don't know.
Overall, I really dig it though. This is nice to have something, you know, like this around for now to watch, you know, and where a lot of stuff we've talked about are kind of disapproval of, like Lock and Key, for example, and like how just annoying and boring it gets at certain points and, you know, ridiculous and stuff. It's like, that's always the concern I have when I hear like, oh, some, you know, really well-known work is being adapted, even if it's something I'm not directly familiar with. I wasn't directly familiar with Lock and Key. I wasn't directly familiar with Sandman. I was vaguely aware of them, you know, just from, you know, having heard of them and stuff. stuff and having heard a few details about them here and there. Lock and Key had these really cool parts to it, but in general, structurally, the show is kind of messy. And both of us kind of talked about like how we just weren't really into the relationships, the character relationships and stuff, and thought that a lot of that stuff was just felt forced and unhonest and boring. This is like, feels really good on the other hand, you know? And I'm curious to people who are very loyal to the source material, like what they really think about it, you know? Like, I'd like to hear like an honest perspective from them, not just like, they changed this so I don't like it, but like you know, maybe that change was for the better, based on the medium it's in, or based on just the fact that it's been years, it's been decades since Sandman came out, and, you know, Neil Gaiman was heavily involved in this adaptation. Yeah. So there's things that he probably wanted to change, you know?
More so than the adaptation of American Gods. Like,
yeah.
Like, he said he made this. He wasn't involved in American Gods except for like as a producer credit, you know, like, or maybe like consultant, but he was a lot more involved in the making of this show.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that in a sense, the changes that do exist in this, those might be the kind of things that when you're making something that you're not satisfied with something you did in the past, and you might feel like, I wish I had done this a little differently. And these might be the kind of changes that came from that. Or it could just be because of the medium, like it might work better as a TV series with certain changes in place. And so I'd like to see like a real honest perspective from a comic fan that's not like, this isn't as loyal, so it's trash. Like, I don't care about those type of opinions. Those are meaningless to me. But if somebody's like, takes a real critical view and says, I think that this change here benefited it because of this, or hindered it because of this, you know, either way, I'd be really interested in hearing that kind of perspective about, you know, any changes that were made and stuff, because I like I said, I don't have a lot of experience with Sandman outside of this show, but I'm really enjoying it. So
nice.
So that's it for our full spoiler segment and our show. Next week, as we've mentioned several times already, we're going to be discussing the rest of season 1 of Sandman, and whatever other details end up coming up from other stories that we haven't learned are even existent yet. So some new trailer comes out, some new news about some show or some movie, you know, the next crazy, stupid thing that Warner does. We'll have to talk about that as well next week, but mostly we're going to be talking about Sandman Season 1, Episodes 6 through 10, so stay tuned for that. We're looking forward to it. Yes. Until then, thank you everybody for listening. You can reach me on Twitter. I'm at Tyson Gifford. You can reach Will. He is at VoxelHero. You can check out our website, thetotalscreen.com. You can go on our website to a container story for any of these podcasts, and in there you can find the links to our SoundCloud page, our Facebook page, the Twitter accounts that I've just mentioned, anything else that we are active on, you'll be able to see there and be able to quickly get any information you need therein. So thank you everybody for listening. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for listening to the On-Screen Podcast, the official podcast of The Total Screen. Visit our website at thetotalscreen.com. This podcast can be found on any major podcast client, including Pocket Cast and Apple Podcast. The entire backlog of this podcast and other content can be found on our YouTube channel.